Good morning, Mr. Jones. Today I would like to explain to you the process of analyzing conflict. A conflict model is a good model or representation that approximates reality but in a simpler and clearer way. The typical example is a map. Conflict models help in the two steps in managing and responding to conflict, which are making a diagnosis and taking action. Making a diagnosis means to try to find sense to the conflict, trying to find the causes. Taking action means take some kind of action in relation to those causes. Now I would like to talk to you about the interests, rights, and power model. This model focuses on the processes and approaches people use to resolve their conflicts. Interest-based processes are processes that focus on finding a solution that meets the interests of the parties. Interests are usually the wants, needs, hopes, and fears of the parties. The type of outcome in this kind of processes is usually a win-win situation, and some examples are mediation, joint problem solving, and brainstorming. Rights-based processes focus on the rights of the parties. The rights usually come from the law, statutes, convention, past practices, policies, and contracts. The outcome in these kinds of processes is usually a win-lose situation, and some examples are litigation, arbitration, adjudication, and tribunal decisions. Power-based processes usually refer to the situations when parties are using all the resources they have at their disposal against the other party in an attempt to win. Some examples are threats, intimidation, physical force, or violence. The type of outcome is usually a lose-lose situation and sometimes a win-lose situation. The stairway model is the simplest format of the interests, rights, and power model. As you can see in the graph, when the parties start to use interest-based processes, the control is up, and because they have more control over the nature, direction, and outcome of the situation, while the costs are also not so high because as I said before, usually those processes are very collaborative and they are not adversarial. And in the same sense, when they are start to go up and use the rights-based processes, cost goes up and the control goes down. And in the same sense, when they use power-based processes, the cost used to be very high and the control the parties have is only on how much power they are going to use against the other party. The strengths of using interest-based processes are that they are usually collaborative, they help to make durable agreements, and they build and strengthen relationships. While the weaknesses are that they can be time-consuming, they don't always achieve resolution, and they can be incorrectly seen as soft. The strengths of the rights-based processes are that they are fair, consistent, they help to find faster outcomes, and they can be seen as objective. The weaknesses are that the outcome will be a win-lose situation, they are more formal, they can harm relationships, and people will be less satisfied when losing. The strengths of using power-based processes are that they are fast, no consultation is required, and one party can simply take everything they want. The weaknesses are that the outcome will be a win-lose at best, often lose-lose situation, and it will be a significant damage to relationships and no durability to solutions. Now, Mr. Jones, I would like to apply the model to your case. In regards to interest-based processes, I believe you have not used any of these processes yet because you have not tried any negotiation with the Smith family. However, I would like to mention that the interests you have in the process, in the conflict, are to have a home, to protect your family, to protect your home, to have jobs for your children, and to have acceptance and respect in the community. And in the same way, I believe the Smith family wants also to protect their family, to protect their home, and to maintain a strong and peaceful community, and also meet the needs of the community. At the moment, we cannot determine any outcome of using these processes because you have not tried any negotiation yet. But I believe the fact that the mediators are intervening to try to help solve the situation can be as a seen as a first approach to use this process. In regards to rights-based processes, I believe you have not used any of those processes yet also because you have not tried to find a third party to review the situation. However, I believe the intervention of the police and the fact that they are they are still making a formal investigation, I believe that that can be seen as a right-based process. But since the investigation is not over yet, we have not seen any outcome in that sense yet. I believe what we are using right now are power-based processes, which are usually intimidation, physical force or violence, and unilateral decision-making. Especially, I would like to mention that the Smith family is trying to form a committee to try to kick you out of the community, Mr. Jones and your family, if you don't comply with what they believe are the needs of the community. In regards to the stairway model, you can see that since you are using power-based processes, the costs of are very high at the moment because you are putting the community and in risk, and also your family and your property. Both parties are in danger of suffering a lot of damage. They are suffering stress. They are also the reputation in the community, Mr. Jones, may be affected, and also the community is scared of what is going to happen. And in regards to the control, as I said before, since you are using power-based processes, the only control you have at the moment is the amount of power you are going to use against the other party. And I think both parties feel that the only option they have is to retaliate and to pay back. The benefits of using the model in the conflict situation are related to making an effective diagnosis of the situation. Usually, people don't make a correct diagnosis of the situation, and that's why they react emotionally and use tools that don't help to solve the conflict, but but those tools make it escalate. So, and I believe that's what's happening right now in your conflict situation, Mr. Jones. Okay, so now I would like to tell you about another conflict model, which is the triangle of satisfaction. With this model, we can identify your interests, Mr. Jones, and I believe the result interests you have at the moment are to have a job, to have jobs for your children, to have a home, to have good reputation in the community, to protect your family. In regards to the procedural interests, I believe you want the Smith family to stop talking bad about you and your family. You would like the Smith family to stop attacking your home, and in the same way, you would like to have revenge and retaliate, and retaliation. And in relation to the emotional interest, I believe you would like your children to have a start in life. You want them to have jobs, to be part of the community, and you want some respect from the community too. You want the community to recognize you are a hardworking person and that your family contributes a lot to the community. Finally, Mr. Jones, I would like to make some recommendations. First, I would like to recommend you to try to use interest-based processes, such as mediation. I would recommend that you try to get in touch with the mediators or other members of the community to try to start an approach to negotiate with the Smith family. In regards to using rights-based processes, I believe also that you may consider the possibility of trying to find a third party to review the situation, maybe a committee inside the community, or maybe someone with some authority in the community, which can be as an objective person. And in regards to look back to interest, I believe, Mr. Jones, at the moment you are using power-based processes which are damaging a lot the community, as I said before, as I explained before, and it is also damaging your reputation and your safety in the community, and both parties' safety is involved at the moment. So, and also you have to consider that the Smith family have a lot of power in the community, and they are trying to form a committee to try to kick you out of the community. So the consequences if you keep using these processes can be very damaging. So I would recommend to look back to interest-based processes, as I said before. Okay, Mr. Jones, that will be all for today. Thank you very much for your attention.